3-digit numbers by 2-digit numbers, and also 4-digit numbers by 2-digit numbers. If you want to see 2-digit numbers multiplied by 2-digit numbers, I already made a video about that, and I will link it in the cards above and in the description box below, and you can go and check that out. So let's get started. Now before we can start multiplying, we need to go and write this in the correct format. We need to go and write them underneath each other. So first we have 231, and then underneath 231 we have 24. Now always remember to write it neatly. Your ones should be underneath each other and also your tens. And now that they are neatly underneath each other, now you can write your multiplication and your 2 lines. Make sure your lines are 2 spaces apart. You will now see why. So when we start, we take the bottom number, in this case 24, and we split that number. We are separately going to multiply with 4 and 20. First, you're going to multiply the 4 with the 231, and you'll write that answer directly underneath the line. Next, you will multiply the 20 with the 231, and you'll write that answer directly below the first answer you got. So now you've multiplied 4 by 231 and you've multiplied 20 by 231. All you have to do now is add those 2 answers together to get your final answer. So let's do this example together. First, we're going to multiply with the 4. So 4 times 231. So we start with the ones. 1 times 4 is 4. And next, you're going to multiply the 4 with the 3. So 3 times 4 is 12. So you write down your 2, but you need to carry over the 1. And lastly, you're going to multiply the 4 with the 2. So 2 times 4 is 8. But remember, you carried over that 1. So 8 plus 1 is 9. So 4 times 231 is 924. And now we're going to multiply the 20 with the 231. But before we do that, there's 2 things I want you to remember. First of all, we already multiplied with the 4. We need to cancel that 1 that we wrote above the 2 because we are finished with that one. And then the next thing I want you to remember is that we are multiplying with 20 and not with 2. So 20 is in the 10th place value, so it's 20 and not 2. That is why before we start multiplying the digits, we are first going to write a 0 in the answer line. So that's to make sure that our answer is going to be 20 times 231 and not 2 times 231. So now that we've written down the 0, we can simply multiply the digits. So 2 times 1 is 2, 3 times 2 is 6, and 2 times 2 is 4. So now you see why it's so important that you wrote down that 0 before you started multiplying the digits, because 20 times 231 is 4,620. We just need to add those 2 answers together. So let's start at the ones like we would do a normal addition sum. So 4 plus 0 is 4, 2 plus 2 is 4, 9 plus 6 is 15, so you write down the 5, but you take the 1 over, and 4 plus that 1 is 5. So 231 times 24 is 5,544. Now let's move on to a 4-digit number times a 2-digit number. If you feel like you need to go and practice a 3-digit number times a 2-digit number some more, I will have a worksheet with a memo in the description box below. You can just click on the link and go and download it and go and practice this some more. But now let's move on. So here we have a 4-digit number times a 2-digit number. So 2374 times 32. So the first thing we do is we write them neatly underneath each other so that your ones are directly underneath each other and also your tens. And then your multiplication with your 2 lines. And just by looking at this, it can seem very intimidating, but you just do it one step at a time and you will get your final answer. So the first thing you do is you split that 32. So we're first multiplying with 2 and then we're multiplying with 30. So 2 times 2374. So first we multiply the ones, so 4 times 2 is 8. Next, 7 times 2 is 14. Remember, you write down the 4, but you carry over the 1 and you write it there. So next we have 3 times 2, and 3 times 2 is 6. But remember, we carried over that 1, so we still need to add that 1. So 6 plus 1 is 7. And now we multiply the last 2 digits. 2 times 2 is 4. So now we move on to the 30. We already multiplied with the 2. Now we multiply with the 30. So 30 times 2374. And remember that we already worked with that 1. So we need to make sure we cancel that 1 so we don't get confused and use it again. And now the second thing you probably already remember is that we need to write our 0 in the answer line because we are multiplying by 30 and not just by 3. So now that we're done with that, we can just start multiplying our digits. So first, 3 times 4 is 12. So you write down your 2, you carry over that 1. Next is 7 times 3. 7 times 3 is 21, but remember you carried over that 1, so you still need to add it. So 21 plus 1 is 22. So you write down your 2 for 22, but you still need to carry over that 2. Next we have 3 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9, but remember that 2. So 9 plus 2 is 11. So you write down the 1, you carry over the 1. And now lastly, 2 times 3 is 6, plus that 1 is 7. So now you have the answer for 2 times 2374, and you have the answer for 30 times 2374. So all you need to do now is add those 2 together to get your final answer. So let's start at the ones. 8 plus 0 is 8. 4 plus 2 is 6, 7 plus 2 is 9, 4 plus 1 is 5, and 7, it's only 7, so you write down the 7. So your answer for 2374